Out of all of the birding destinations in the United States, few have the same mystique as the Sax-Zim Bog in Minnesota. Known as quite possibly the best place in the country to find boreal bird species, the bog and the surrounding area are a dream destination for many birders, especially during years when northern owl species show up in greater numbers. While we had been to the bog before and had an incredible time, with it being one of the best years in recent memory to find birds such as boreal owls, we decided to once again make the trip.
I'm extremely excited because Ryan and I are finally going up to the Sax-Zim Bog. It has been an incredible season for boreal owls, and we've been hearing all about it but haven't been able to go. So we're actually going to drive through the night, and when we get there we're meeting up with a friend of ours. Hopefully we'll be able to find some of this really cool stuff that's been seen, like the boreal owls, the great grays, maybe a hawk owl, but just have to go up there and see what we can find.
We timed out our driving to arrive in the city of Duluth in the morning when it was just getting light. From there, we met up with our friend and extremely good birder, Peter, who knows the area well. Our top targets were the big three owl species, the great gray owl, the northern hawk owl, and most of all, the boreal owl. We made our way into the bog excited for the day ahead. Right away, we found a spot where other birders were congregated. Some reports this morning have already come through of great gray owls and other cool birds, and it looks like there's some cars up ahead, so we're thinking there's got to be something up there, maybe the great gray. It'd be good to start out with a nice great gray sighting. The cause of the commotion wasn't an owl, but the Arcola Road bird feeders that draw in a variety of birds.
So we're kind of employing the standard method here of looking for cars, stopping, seeing what everybody's looking at. So it looks like there's some chickadees over here. Haven't seen a boreal, just blackcap so far, but it's always good to check and see what people are looking at.
We spotted a few Canada jays, and after waiting a few minutes out in the cold, also saw one of the toughest birds to find in the bog, the boreal chickadee. First of all, the weather absolutely is terrible because it's frigid outside. I was out there for 10 minutes looking at the stuff with the feeders and my hands are already numb. But we got boreal chickadee, which is a really cool bird. That's what everyone was looking out for. All the cars were here watching out for the boreal chickadee, and it actually came into view and was in the sun, which was neat because they can be pretty elusive. So that was a good way to start. No owl, but boreal chickadee, which is a really nice find.
Boreal chickadee's great. I would like it to be a little warmer, but that's Minnesota, so.
It'll warm up.
It will. It will.
Maybe.
A little bit.
After getting some good looks at the boreal chickadee and Canada jays, we moved on in hopes of finding more classic boreal bird species. The bog is optimized for visitors, with lots of different bird feeders along the road, as well as a telegram to help get information out. We drove from feeder to feeder, while also keeping an eye on the telegram. We're just driving down the roads right now, trying to get to places where the birds might be concentrated, such as feeders, waiting for other people to post things on the telegram that they found an owl, which would be great. It's kind of like that in the bog, is you go around and you just look for the activity and you kind of collaborate with other people trying to find different species, because if one person finds it, technically other people are going to find it then too if they post in the telegram group. But we just had some red polls, so it was nice to finally get some activity and get a new bird for the day. So we are adding to the species total, even though we haven't found any of the owls we're looking for yet.
Yeah, it looks like there's some cars over here at the Admiral Road feeders, so that could mean there's something good over there, or people are just hanging out.
The Admiral Road feeders had a lot of chickadees and redpolls, but nothing else of note, so we moved on fairly quickly. On this day, it seemed the reports weren't coming through with the same frequency that they usually do. Thus far, the birding has been very slow. Not a whole lot of owls reported. There was just the one great gray that people said they saw this morning. So that means that we're going to have to go out and find one of them ourselves, I think. So we're just going to cruise these roads and hopefully pick out some good birds coming up shortly. Even though the birding was slow, we were still having success finding new species as we drove the snowy roads. Just got a ruffed grouse. That's a species that is not uncommon, but it is difficult to get an actual look at because they're pretty skittish. So we saw two of them in a tree and then one actually flushed, so that was pretty neat. Another cool bird at the bog. After watching the grouse for a while, we began our feeding station tour, finding pine siskins, more redpolls, purple finches, and one of the brightest birds in the boreal forest.
Picked up evening grosbeak, which is really nice. We could hear them for a little bit, and then eventually they came into the tree. So great pickup in the bog, but we're going to keep on moving.
While we actually had found a pretty solid number of species, we still had 0 on the board for owls of the bog. We decided we may need to switch up our plan in order to find them. There's just not much happening here in the owl front. We've actually done really well on birds that are at feeders. So we got the evening grosbeaks, that was cool, purple finch, pine siskin, redpoll. A lot of cool stuff, just not the owls that we're searching for. So Peter said that we should have better luck if we actually go to the North Shore, which is along Lake Superior. So I think we're gonna cruise through the rest of Sax-Zim, take a look at some of the stuff at the visitor centers, and then I think we're gonna head over there and see if he's right about these owls being there. Before leaving, we wanted to make a few more stops. One of them was at the visitor center, which had some very active bird feeders.
What you got there?
Siskins. You hear that kind of zipper noise? It's a very siskin noise to make. Inside the center, it was nice to take advantage of the warmth, as well as to watch the feeders in the back, even though the sudden change in temperature made life a bit harder for Peter. It's a hazard of the bog.
Hazard of the bog. It's hard.
Can you see it all?
Not really. It's kind of hard. So I'm just gonna chill.
He could report anything he wants.
I saw so many boreals.
He's gonna get confused because there's a mirror right here. We're gonna have like a window strike issue. A lot of red poles, some pine siskins, and a purple finch out here. And there's something that I just love about seeing that many red poles all together. It reminds me of the eruption years when they just come down in force. It's so cool to see. We left the warm visitor center and made our way in the direction of the North Shore, the part of the state that has had some of the most consistent owl reports in the region this winter. Before exiting the bog, we stopped at one of the boardwalk trails to see if we could find some interesting woodpeckers. We got up close and personal with a bold red squirrel and managed to locate a few common forest birds, but didn't find any of the bog specialties.
So we are officially ditching the bog to go check out the area by Duluth because we think that it might be better. It has been so quiet owl-wise in the bog, so we're hoping that switching up plans helps us have some better luck. It's a bit of a gamble, something could be reported in the bog, but it just feels like this is probably a better chance for us.
After about an hour drive, we arrived at our new search area, hoping the change in location would also change our luck.
So we finally arrived here at the shoreline habitat, and we are kind of just doing what we were doing before, cruising and looking for owls. And we're looking specifically where the sun is shining, that maybe they're out sunning. But this is kind of a place where as they move south, they have to funnel this direction. So it's kind of a pinch point for them.
Unfortunately, after cruising countless roads and looking at thousands of trees, we still hadn't found a single owl.
We had a couple more grouse, but still no owls. This is ridiculous.
With this particular day proving to be poor for owl sightings, we decided to try for a rare duck species with the remaining hour of light we had.
Since we've had just no luck on owls, we're stopping to try to find this Barrow's golden eye that has been hanging around. So I don't know if it still is, but we need a little victory. It's been a really tough owl day for us.
At the open water, we spotted a white-winged scoter mixed in with the hundreds of common golden eyes, but before we could pick through the rest of them, they took flight and never returned. We also found an out-of-season white-throated sparrow at the park too, but never did get to see the Barrow's golden eye. We ended the day with a grand total of 0 owls seen. Was this a terrible day of birding? That's an interesting question. We spotted many bird species we don't usually get to see. Evening grosbeaks, boreal chickadees, and Canada jays are all birds that are uncommon to extremely rare in our home state. It was also extremely fun to spend the day searching the roads and forests with Peter. If not for the knowledge that those 3 owl species were out there somewhere waiting to be found, it actually would have felt like a pretty good day. But that being said, we really wanted looks at those 3 owls. And fortunately for us, we had one more day to find them. If you want to see that video, we'll add it here once it's released. To see other videos about birding the Sax-Zim Bog, take a look at one of these videos. And as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Badgerland Birding.